Star Trek 57, M23, take 2.
Star Trek podcast.
It feels like nothing matters. I start going numb, and that scares me. I don't know if it's my gut or just plain fear.
Fear does not have to be your enemy, Renee. Fear can be your friend. Telling you that perhaps you are not ready.
So, he's talking her out of it. Why? Something's off here. I need an angle on the doctor. That's not a therapist. That's Q. He's using Renee to change the future.
It's got Star Trek, number 125.
Whoa, we're like a bicentennial or something.
No.
a quadrocentennial plus?
No, I have no doubt there's a term for it. I do not know the term. I'm not familiar with the term.
250 is like a sesqua or something.
You're not sure it's like a
Sesquicentennial? Sesquicentennial?
You sure it's not quadro?
What's a
Quadrotriticale?
sesquicentennial?
You sure it's not
Quadrotriticale?
You sure it's not quadrocentarelli plus or something?
Okay.
I'm not
I'm
sure what that even
Quadrocentarelli.
is.
I'm Quadrocentarelli the
Hey,
third.
what are you worried about?
Look, this is irrelevant to the topic at hand.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Episode 125. It's got Star Trek.
Septimillion.
Talking Star Trek Picard, Season 2, halfway through Season 2,
Whoa.
Episode
Through
5,
Season 2.
Season 2, Episode 5, entitled Fly Me to the Moon.
You know, there's about 400 minutes.
It's my 11th
birthday. There's between 400 and 500 minutes in this whole series, probably closer to 400. So that's about...
You counted up the minutes?
Yeah, so that's about...
Runtimes?
So,
What are you
yeah, so it's
saying?
about...
With or without credits? I'm presuming with.
I'm saying it's an estimate, so it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Got it.
But my estimate says about, given no credits plus a variance in times.
What about the
I'd say-
recaps?
What kind of variance in time?
Because
What
it's
about
not,
when they show
it's
the
not always
recap?
exactly
You got
40.
some gravitational waves oozing through your area
It's not
of
always.
town?
It's not always 41 minutes and 12 seconds or whatever. It's different
1.21 gigawatts.
It's different. What'd you ask, Jesse?
When they show the recaps or like
No, it doesn't count any of that. No, it's
previously
just
on
it's just
Picard.
the episode, and the episode changes length.
How many minutes so
slightly.
far in this? Are you talking about the series or the season?
The season?
Season 2.
Season 2.
Star Trek Picard.
It's
Yeah,
like
there's
The
about
show we're talking about
100
today.
minutes. What?
There's about 7 hours. There's about 7 hours, so it's a decent.
Okay.
Wait,
so
you mean total?
it seems to be that way.
Because it's 10 episodes.
Times 40, which is 400.
Well, no, the episodes aren't 40 minutes long.
Yeah, they are.
No, they vary
There's a
to some
variance,
degree, but they're like
yeah.
52 minutes.
No,
50
this last
oh,
episode.
yeah.
This last episode.
I don't know. That might count credits, but still.
Some
No.
are
Some of them are
shorter than
short.
No, I
others.
guarantee
Some of them are
you.
long.
No, I guarantee you. This last episode was like 40 minutes. It was not on the 50 minutes side.
I ain't saying it ain't. I'm just saying it ain't the thing to use as the basis for
I'm saying
an estimation
it's closer
calculation.
to 40 than 50.
What are we saying?
Anyways, I'm being generous. Okay, I'm being liberal with the idea and saying that it's not 6 hours, it's 7 hours.
Okay.
And
It's not 6 2/3 hours, it's 7 hours. I'm going to say there's Picard. Let's say 7.5. It doesn't matter.
I'm going to say 8.
Okay, do it. It's still the right length that you can have a nice little trilogy on your hands.
No, 6.5.
Like remember the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Does anyone remember that? You remember that? You remember
Does
that?
anybody remember
You read about
that?
that? Did you read about that?
Does
There's
anybody
the
remember
Lord of the Rings trilogy.
The Back to the Future trilogy.
was a trilogy of
Yeah,
movies.
Back to the Future was a trilogy as well.
So you can consider this as like the Star Trek Next Generation final trilogy movie.
What, the 3 seasons?
This last season.
This current season?
I thought you
there's
said.
another
Oh, is there? I
season.
thought you said there was only going to be 2.
No, there's 3 seasons.
Well, you said there was going to be 2.
I never said such a thing. Because I've known full well it's
roll
a
back the
3-season.
tape.
No one ever said
No one
that.
ever said it. You just put it. So something in your brain made you think that, and now you thought that.
False.
That's okay.
Okay,
we all
so
encounter
then this
that.
is episode 4, 5, and 6 of the Star Wars
So you're dividing-
nanology.
Midichlorian.
You're dividing 10 episodes
Midichlorian, the
into
Star Wars
chunks of
midichlorians.
chunks of 3.3 episodes.
So chunks of 3
I don't
That's a
understand
repeating decimal.
No,
the necessity of this framework.
because look, this is like what we're watching is now episode 4, 5, and 6, and then next season
Yes,
will
but divided into 10 episodes.
So it'll be, but the 10 episodes are a trilogy. Each season is a trilogy. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
and you get 9 episodes. How do you say 9? A nineology?
I think that's 7, 8, 9.
No, that's why 6 was afraid of 7.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the episode.
Okay.
That's what the people come here to listen to.
I thought we were.
I thought
talking
that could have been a lot
You
quicker.
I thought you were. I thought he was going to say something about the episode.
Me too.
I'm just-
he was
I was,
spouting
and-
off on some sort of
No, well,
was going into
what
all
I
these
was
he was
arcane
keeping the
alternative
minutes.
framework
see,
for
see what I was going to
absorbing
say.
the television program.
what
It's
I
already
was-
divided into the neat little
Once
chunks
again-
for us. 10
once
neat
again-
little chunks.
Once again,
10 servings.
Once again, I was going to say something offhandedly that was going to be about 10, 15 seconds out of our way, and it has turned into this, and I cannot bear the brunt of all the blame in this situation.
Okay.
It's
That's
simply unfair.
Fair point. A fair point.
Okay, let's get
Well
continue.
stated. Fully accepted.
All right.
All right, good. Star Trek Picard, Fly Me
Star
to the Moon. Directed by Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes, he talked about how it was, I think the quote was something like an unexpected thrill to be directing an episode so closely related in some ways to First Contact, which was the first feature-length film that he got to direct. What with the Borg Queen and everything, you know? all
I
that
guess
stuff
you're
going on.
right.
Yeah, I guess I am. Although I read it in an article, so
Read it.
not a novel thought.
You were talking about
Just relaying information that I picked up along the way,
you were talking about
cruising the internet,
directors. So I was looking up Leah
Digging up
Thompson. That was her in this episode,
little bits
right?
and pieces.
She was in there.
Little
yeah.
bits and pieces of
She
information.
was on that board of
The board of directors.
directors.
The board of something.
And
The board of adjudicators.
Board of
Yeah,
visitors.
they're talking about the Shenzhen.
They shut that shit down.
Convention.
I thought
Shenzhen.
I thought they said sentient convention at first. I thought that was hilarious. The
Yeah.
sentient convention.
I kind of thought that at first as well.
Yeah. But I looked it up and it was the Shenzhen. Actually, I looked at closed captioning. But notice the guy to her left very prominently displayed a Surface Pro computer.
And did you notice his nameplate?
No, I didn't
His
read-
last name was Rozhenko, just like Worf's parents.
Ah.
Snap.
Do you think Worf's parents use? Do you think Worf uses a Surface Pro?
Yes, that's the go-to. The go-to.
They had some kind of power book. Or something.
All honorable Klingons would use a Microsoft Surface Book Pro.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a super advanced one because it takes place in the future? It's one thing that does aggravate me when you think about it because you're like, ooh, they're doing product placement, except in this context, it's 2 years in the future.
Yeah.
So in the context of the show, it's a 2-year-old device.
Yeah, I know. That's why it looked a little out of place.
That dude was, not up to speed. He didn't have the newest model.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't make them anymore, and he's just holding on to it for nostalgia.
Well, I have one that's like 10 years old and it still works. So
There you go. It's probably still going to work.
yeah, it's probably still going to
Maybe
work.
they studied antique coding at the academy.
Yeah, and the primitive.
Introduction to antique
What was it?
coding.
Something gapping. What
Air
was
gap.
Air gapping.
Air
you know
gapping.
about
I know.
air
I just
gapping.
couldn't remember what it was called, but that's
Stop gapping.
Stop gapping.
That's different.
That's what
Gapping.
a lot of us do at work.
Gapping is what you do at night when you're feeling that way and you got someone with you and you're feeling like you got to do some stuff that's fun and that adults do.
I don't
That's
know what
called,
you're talking
it's called
about.
gapping.
I don't know what that is.
I've never heard this term.
I just.
Is it a crude term?
I imagine it must be.
It sounds like
Where
he's,
have you-
he's about to
where
he's
have
about
you-
to get crude.
Where have you heard this term?
I was just.
Are we walking into a
Dan's
trap?
got-
No,
Dan's
no,
going blue
no.
on
I just was thinking about gapping because air gapping, so I just started thinking about gapping, and that sounds like something perverted.
No, you're saying it sounds like it,
It
and you're
sounds like
imagining it.
something
Yeah.
that's-
Okay, so you're
I'm imagining it around all of you right
You're just
now.
not pronouncing
It's
it
in
the
my
right
brain.
way.
All right.
I'm thinking of these things.
I was Jesse. You were right to be suspicious.
What were you saying, Jesse?
I didn't.
You're-
You're just not pronouncing the A the right.
He's Jesse.
I'm just saying gapping.
He's just up to his old games.
I'm not saying air gapping.
His old games.
My old games.
The classic old
So-
Dan maneuver of trying to coin a new word,
I know.
coin a new phrase slyly with an
Yeah.
odd smile on his face.
With an odd, self-satisfied smile.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's what gave you away.
He
is-
fooled me.
anachronistic maybe isn't quite the right word, but it is a little weird to see Surface Pros in Star Trek. You just don't consider like Apple and Micro. You don't consider those products living in the Star Trek universe,
Yes.
especially when they have all those future
Well,
tablets.
this is a
which I pointed
timeline
out
that's
last
been messed
episode.
with.
Which I pointed
But
out
in
last.
Star Trek 4, they had the Macintosh, didn't they?
Did they?
You're totally pointing
yes,
it
they
out
did,
right
didn't
now.
they? Yeah, they
You're
did.
like waving
but,
your finger around.
But they didn't advertise
Hello,
it as a
computer.
Macintosh.
Hello, computer.
No, I pointed out last.
Computer.
I pointed out last episode that Raffi was talking about how they linked all their systems together in the past, and in the future they don't because they use different. We already went over this.
Please refer to the last episode if you want to.
Okay,
if you
yeah,
want
I'll
to
stop that one.
go through that.
But,
whole business.
But yeah, so what were we talking about? Oh yeah, they had
Star Trek Picard.
They had
Fly Me to the Moon, season 2, episode 5.
They did have a Macintosh in 4, but it didn't seem as prominent. But maybe I'm just looking at things differently as I become different.
I wish they had the
person.
computers they had in Deep Space Nine's past tense parts 1 and 2, where they weren't thinking about the internet yet as a thing. So in the future, everyone had computers embedded into their desks.
Oh,
and they
yeah,
had to
right.
subscribe to like information channels for the information networks. It was wild.
It was a crazy console.
It was a wild conception.
Speaking of screens, the watcher / supervisor, or we decide she's a watcher or super. She says she's a
They
supervisor.
say straight out here that she's a supervisor.
Right. So
A
where?
la Gary 7.
to Lynn.
Right. But then
was
what
her
was
name?
Guinan talking?
To Lynn.
To Lynn.
What was Guinan talking about? Like watcher then.
I've been thinking about this
Okay.
because
I've been
all
thinking about
I
you.
think it is the
Got you
very
on my mind.
realistic, practical thing where the supervisor is sort of a term used by the supervisors, as in that's their rank. Except there's some alien weirdos and people like Guinan are gonna be like, I don't gotta call you that.
Yeah, I'll go.
I'm
with
gonna
that,
call you what
sure.
you are, which is like a creepy person who just lurks around,
They
like
just
looking
watch
at people.
people, yeah.
It's like I never meet them.
Yeah, well, supervisor
I
does
just
sound
watch
more,
them.
more professional than watcher. But you notice that her tricord or I don't even know what you call them. Man,
Pad.
The 7 of 9
Like a
and
pad.
Raffi both had tricorders. Tricorders look like smartphones, basically. Like
Their tricorders look like smartphones.
within 20 years of like TNG, within 20 years of in Star Trek canon, after Picard left the Enterprise, now suddenly they're
They look like construction zone
yeah, they
cell
do.
phones.
Yeah, they do. So, but the
pads are
the
different.
pad, she had a trapezoidal. Trapezoidal, like screen.
Trapezoidal?
Trapezoidal.
You trying to say trapezoidal?
Trapezoidal.
You said it right the first time.
Trapezoidal. Trapezoidal is not a difficult thing to say.
Trapezoidal.
Operationalize. That's difficult to say. Operationalize.
She had a
Trapezoidal.
Trapanoid.
No problem.
She had a trapezoid screen and projector. So there's a lot of weird screens going on.
I also
trapezoid screen and projector.
What was up with that?
I also think, I don't know because I am not well versed in the lexicon lore related to Romulans, but it looked like Romulan lettering to me. And I don't know if that was just my brain associating Tellin with Laris, for the obvious reason, or what. But it looked Romulan-ish to me.
Big ears.
But I don't know. Just tossing that out there.
Well, she's Romulan, right?
But no, but not necessarily. She was Romulan in the normal time. But is this the same person?
And
Is this somebody who
right,
just
they-
looks the same?
Big ears is Romulan, but this one's different.
So, well, this one is named Talim or something.
Talene.
Taline
Taline.
instead of Laris. But okay, I get like people being totally different in different timelines, but you're not going to have a different person look the same as somebody else and that person not existing in it. Like, why would there be Taline but no Laris?
Well,
Why would they look exactly-
They just look the same.
there's the daughter of Dr. Soong.
Yeah, Dr.
you think-
Soong's
do you think
daughter,
She's
Adam
not- and
Soong's
she's
daughter.
Not, she's not
Cora.
the same
Are you-
character
so are
as
you-
she is in the normal.
Well, are you saying? Okay, wait. First of all, what about
It's
that
a
too? That too.
television show.
There you
It's
go.
a television show.
But like Cora.
They use the same actor, but
They
it's
got the
different.
actors on contract, so it's easier to keep them around.
How is Dodge made? Like, or Soji and Dodge.
Them's was robots.
Well,
They're robots, but
how
they had
is,
nothing to do-
How is this young woman made?
See, we'll see.
we do not
That's the
know.
question.
Interesting
yet.
question.
So Soji and Dodge were made by I just can't remember. Was it Soong?
It's still a Soong, yeah.
It was by Soong and
And that Bruce guy.
Bruce Maddox.
So they must have modeled it after Cora.
And
But so that
Jurati
explains-
helped.
So that explains that, but it does not explain why Talene looks like Laris. Is
And
Talene
Jurati
Laris?
helped.
Is it just a thing where Talene is like her great ancestor? Are they related at least?
Yeah, why not?
Or are they total
Maybe.
strangers?
We're gonna find out. But it's an interesting unresolved piece of information. It could go either way. Talene could be an ancestor. Talene could be the same person. It could be totally unrelated, and they just kind of look the same. Obviously, there's going to be some connection there. They'll let us know in due time.
Due time. Shango. Her name was Shango on that
No.
that moon ride.
No.
When
That
they had
was
the
the-
vector
no,
accumulator
no,
air exhaustion,
No,
1202
no,
alarm.
you're
1202 alarm.
You're fucking wrong.
What's going on here?
It's Shango.
The name of the ship was the Shango.
But they were like, "Hey Shango."
Yes, as in, hey Enterprise, hey Voyager, hey Shango.
You can't be sure of that.
I am 100% sure because we know her name is Renee Picard.
But maybe it was like her it was like Maverick and Goose in Top Gun. Maybe that was her flight name, her cool flight name.
There
Her
is a-
alias.
There is a very small
I
amount
don't think they did that.
plausibility
She
to
has
that
a
theory.
doppelganger, so why not have an alias too?
She doesn't have a doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
Laris.
No, we're not talking about Laris. We're talking about Renee Picard. What are you talking about?
What is anyone talking?
Shango is the name of the ship piloted by Renee Picard to go to Europa.
Europa.
The Europa mission consisted of the Shango.
They weren't very clear on that whole thing.
I don't know. I just think really clear.
It's just weird. It's just weird. It's weird to cut back and forth between Talene and Shango.
Take
over
it up with Mr. Frakes.
It's like usually when they
You got to take that shit up with Mr.
Yeah.
usually
Frakes.
when they cut back and I'm not criticizing. It's just from,
I'm just saying you're gonna
I'm
have to
too
take that
st-
shit
I'm
up with
just
Mr.
too
Frakes.
I
stupid.
think you got to take it up with them.
yeah, because usually I'm used to seeing when they cut two scenes together, it's like the same person, and maybe I'm just Frakes is too smart for me. So I don't know. Anyway, fine.
Write in at it's got
Write a
no,
letter.
write in at feedback at itsgotStarTrek.com and let us know what you think about this scenario, about this whole situation.
Or don't
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 bother.
write in.
Yeah, or don't bother.
write in.
Okay. So
I'm not using reverse.
What's the deal with the Renee with two E's? Is that the female version? And there's a Renee with one E. and
But they
that's
both have a
male
little
version.
slashy above
But
the
there's
E.
still
An accent.
There's still an accent mark on one of the E's.
accent.
Yeah, this is Renee.
Is that a correct assumption? You think?
Well, Renee, I know from my limited knowledge of Quebecois culture and namery,
yes.
Renee
You have a relative.
it's French Canadian, and then Renee Picard is presumably supposed to be French, right? Did we talk last week about how when they talked about fleeing from the Nazis, they moved to England? And
Yeah, some of them did.
when it was implied there that
This girl had a childhood in the south of France, though, from what they said.
But
so.
but this is the implication is that's why they have the English accents and they're French. Is that
Yeah.
so anyway? So Renee,
Probably.
yeah. What were we talking about? What kid was born in France?
Renee was
They
raised
mentioned. They
in
mentioned she.
the south of
Her
France.
childhood
Yeah, but
in the south.
if she moved when
coulda-
she was 5.
she still could have had a British accent.
But she wasn't fleeing the Nazis.
No.
Yeah, it would have been the other people fleeing the Nazis.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all very
But nobody's at that Picard chateau.
So we're talking about Renee.
You know, we've been talking about every fucking goddamn thing.
We're all over the place, man. This
All
is-
right.
We always
So before we're
Dilly-dally
we're
over
gonna,
this
we're gonna be
way.
coming up on a break soon. but-
already.
well, not quite yet, but soon. I was just saying, let's see if we can squeeze in one thing to discuss, which is Adam Soong. right? So we've gotten hints of Adam Soong already. In the previous Confederation episode, there was the hollow statue of Adam Soong in like San Francisco Bay or something. And he was saying a human galaxy. What is it? A safe galaxy is a human galaxy or something. Something along those lines.
Yeah, that was that.
Wait, was that who said that?
Adam Soong. Now at the time, all we saw
Picard
was a
said
statue that looked kind of like Data.
I don't know. It says a safe galaxy is a human galaxy, and on this thing it says magistrate. But like, I don't know if this thing's right because this basically takes.
I think it's a slogan, but there was a statue of Adam Soong, or what I think are now meant to believe was Adam Soong.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
And anyway, regardless, we've now met this gentleman. This is Brent Spiner's 7th iteration. If you count all the androids, all
the androids.
Yeah, if you count them, if you want to count up all the Soongs that we know of that have been played by Brent Spiner,
Data and Lore.
Data, Lore. What else? Who else? B4. B4 is so that's the 3 androids, and then he played
the guy in the first season of Picard.
He was in Independence Day. He played a scientist. That
doesn't count.
But that's not on Star Trek. He was in both Independence Days.
He was the scientist that came up with the virus to destroy the aliens, much like how Picard was going to do that to the Borg, but he decided not to.
Which you've brought up, I think.
Which
every
I think
episode
I think
this season.
that's more evidence for the case.
You keep thinking that's going to come into play, and by the way, it very well may, and you deserve all accolades if that's the case.
But I've been going all in on that one.
You've been going all in each and every episode, right? Okay, but yes, he played so Data Lore before. He played Noonien Soong, who is Data Lore before's dad. He played Eric Soong, which on Enterprise, on that 3-part Augment, Augments 3-parter on Enterprise, which is a really cool fourth season little storyline that they have there. And that Soong is into eugenics as well and genetic stuff going on. And then now he's Adam Soong. Before that he was Alton Inigo Soong, who is that's the guy from the previous season who was Noonien Soong's human son, who was all bitter that he was like his dad had him as a real son, and then his dad wanted to make little Pinocchios to play with and didn't spend any time with him. So then he followed in his dad's footsteps in order to sort of regain some sort of like love.
And the people he made didn't look like him.
Yeah.
Soong is kind of like,
he wasn't such an egomaniac.
He's kind of like Tarka actually from Discovery a little bit, except it's his daughter that he's like trying to protect.
Except it's a little clearer. We can sympathize more readily with him because we are actually seeing the relationship and the stakes.
Right, but the thing is there's some parallels. Like Soong is, you could say he's a slightly more ethical, but he's still, they talked about how he did human experimentation this way, got his license taken away. So he is fucked up, but not as fucked up as Tarka.
Yeah.
He didn't try to blow up a galaxy or some shit, or whatever. I don't know.
He's more human.
Spoilers for Discovery.
Tarka's not a human.
Yeah, Tarka is a Ryzen.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, skin deep, man.
We're all
except if
humans.
you're Klingon.
We're all humans here, right?
2 skins deep.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about Adam Soong, what he's up to, what's up with his daughter.
I keep thinking you're going to say Adam Sandler.
I'm not going to say Adam Sandler. That's crazy. All right, we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Yeah, okay, that works. I'm cool with that.
That's really fucking me up.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We have returned to continue our discussion. A couple of things I wanted to point out with, or at least talk about with Adam Soong.
Soongler.
What?
Adam Soongler.
Adam Sam.
Was the one thing that really jumped out at me was when Cora was asking about her mom, if her mom was a good singer or swimmer.
He made a face.
And he made a weird face. Yeah. And so, of course, you immediately are like, all right, mom's out of the picture. He's into weird genetic engineering. He gets weird when her mom is brought up.
We already know that this dude played another character that made
other weird shit.
Another character that looked the same as this girl.
Yeah. So what exactly is going on? Interesting.
Yep.
Is she
All these Soongs are kind of shady.
Well, and it's
So
also
I would guess it's not an android. It would be like some kind of clone thing or something.
so.
Yeah,
I think it's worth mentioning with the
test tube, baby.
limiting spoilers as much as possible. But in that Enterprise 3-parter, it does revolve around frozen embryos from the eugenics wars from like the Khan period, and so it's sort of centered around this idea of these like perfect
Noonie
whatever.
and Singh.
So they could be doing a riff on that, maybe, to tie into other things that are going on in the universe. I don't know. I don't know. But what do you think?
This relates on a certain level because you made me think of Soong and creation and all this stuff when he was trying to sell his product to should I just keep going?
Yeah, just
Jesse,
keep
do what
going.
you do what you got to do, man. Yeah, let it all come out. There's a good boy. Sorry, that was rude.
All right. You were going to sell something?
So when Soong was trying to sell the idea of his super shots to the Surface Pro and those people in front of it.
You know his name is Rozhenko. Rozhenko is the same as a beloved Star Trek character. Worf is his family.
I didn't know that.
Worf's name is technically Worf Rozhenko.
I didn't even think about that at the time, by the way. But
Clearly,
yeah.
clearly, because you keep calling this gentleman Surface Pro.
Rozhenko is a Ukrainian name.
I don't know.
Good question.
Yeah.
So one of his points to try to sell it, he says to understand the true potential of the human genome is to envision a future free from disease. Imagine, if you will, I am a god. There's no accident there. Now, of course, in the scenario he's played up, he's saying, pretend I'm a god, and it's relevant. He's not just saying,
pretend I'm standing at an objective distance and observing the path of humanity.
But it's no coincidence that they gave Soong that line to say, because it's just like...
And it has a meta value in that he's describing exactly the plot of this season, in that there was a divergence. There was a point in time where, depending on what happened, humanity either went down a path that ultimately led to large-scale improvement and peace and love and all that other jazz, and on the other side went down a fascist nightmare Hitlerian horrorscape. So from a meta perspective, I thought that was quite interesting.
That's on a grander meta scale. On a lesser meta scale, when he was
multiple meta scales.
When he was talking
layers and layers,
Multiple
when
like an onion.
When he was talking,
people always talk about stories having layers like onions. Why not like a tiramisu
or an artichoke?
Artichoke's okay.
Or spanakopita.
And I like eating...
Because you don't peel tiramisus apart.
Yeah, but they still got layers, and they're tastier. I mean, I'll eat a raw onion. You know me, Dan.
I know you.
You know
I've
me.
seen this guy.
too well.
I like chowing down on some raw onions.
Chomps right
But-
into it.
I like them raw.
Like an apple.
And just sitting there.
Even red
Real-
onions,
real
raw
red onions are even better.
Real-
red and purple
real
onions.
raw.
that'll wake you up in the middle of the night with like bad
better.
mouth.
So
He likes,
white onions are somewhat
a real raw
boring.
red onion.
White onions are boring and bland, but purple onions, red onions,
Purple.
What about a Vidalia?
Yum.
Purple.
Vidalia's fine.
So
People tell you it's some bullshit.
it's
Fine.
Okay.
Vidalia sounds all fancy.
I'm gonna fine you if you don't get back on track.
All right.
I'm gonna find you
All right.
3 podcast
I'm gonna make you let me get to know you a little better than I already do.
That's an upsetting threat.
Yeah. So when Data, okay, so Soong pulls the Trinity from Matrix on Data and has that and hacks into his monitor, and I like that the text is all like, it doesn't look like old school DOS text, when it's like, hello, Dr. Soong, I have everything you want.
Hello, Dr. Soong, I have everything that you want.
Dr. Spatzo. I am Dr.
Spatzo.
But the text, you notice the text is all not old school DOS. It's like some fancy Surface Pro kind of font,
Okay, all right, Jesse. I think we've got to double check on something here. I think Dan might have gotten a sort of back-end secret sponsorship deal from the boys over at Microsoft. Who've
I'm
been
just
haranguing
saying
us forever. Jesse and I are like, we don't feel comfortable doing product placement for the Microsoft Surface Pro.
It's all the
many Microsoft.
It's all the
products.
advantages of a tablet and a laptop in one. So,
and all the disadvantages as well.
There are
combined.
There are less.
There are fewer. Fewer
Less.
disadvantages?
Less.
No, you can count disadvantages.
I said less.
Yes, you did. All right, we'll agree to agree on that point.
So
I think you should have said fewer.
so I said less. There's nothing to argue here.
Yeah, well, okay.
No, Dan is correct. In the most technical of terms, there is indeed nothing to argue there.
So
Green is
when
old
Soong
games.
when Soong is talking to fucking Q and and Q like does that Trinity Matrix hacker shit, but then he used like a old school emoji, like parentheses with the semicolon. He already had a future font. You know, it had an emoji set in there.
He's
That's
emoticon. Yeah,
Emoticon,
that's an assertion of power right there.
Oh, he doesn't
Using
care.
the old school emoticons.
Yeah.
I've done that from time to time.
Assertion of power.
You're
It's
like,
a power move.
yeah, it is a fucking dick power move.
It's like when you wear a clashing tie or something.
yeah, you're like, I don't need that newfangled fancy emoji nonsense. You get what I'm saying.
But he can't snap his fingers anymore.
But Q is continuing with the fancy wordsmithery, which is where I guess he's not smithing these words. He's more
Smithing.
He's more researched them. When he goes, Dr. Soong, I presume. Isn't there some shit that's all like Dr. Livingston, I presume?
Dr. Livingston.
Isn't that a thing?
That is a thing.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Some kind of colonialism.
Some kind of thing. And so back to the lesser meta thing. Soong says, I'm clapping my hands together because I'm excited to get on track and say this quick little thing. Now they're making fun of me. If you could only see what they're doing. Jesse especially is doing some kind of like imitation over there.
All right, tell what you're talking about. Some tomfoolery.
He goes, hacking into my network was a cute little trick. So was teasing me with data that was mysteriously specific
data.
to the exact problem I'm trying to solve. Soong said data.
Every time I watched it, I said, he said data.
Yeah, and you could say it's just a normal word, but they did that on purpose.
The way he said it was all exposed.
I like when he said
It
fucking.
was a salient
Oh, yeah.
data. He said the F word.
He was all fucking.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That if anyone's gonna say fucking and get away with it, it's fucking.
Brent Spiner.
Yeah, he already said shit.
Brent fucking Spiner.
You already
Brent
said
Spiner's
shit.
got a potty mouth. I've heard him on podcasts. and
On
stuff.
potty mouth
Yeah,
cast.
potty mouth.
Potty mouth.
He seems
Dude,
like
potty
he
mouth
doesn't-
cast sounds gross.
Seems like he doesn't really give a fuck.
He's a real good fucking actor though, because it's so funny when it's you forget how
He was on Night Court.
Well, yes, he was great on Night Court.
Was he a guest?
I don't
Was
think
he
I've
one of the
seen
weekly?
He was a fairly frequent. He played one. There was a couple, and I think they were Yugoslavian, but they were pretending to be rednecks, and they kept getting into trouble with the police.
Night Court is like Deep Space Nine, just like medical
Yes.
shows are like Deep Space Nine, where you're at the place and the people and the special guests come to you.
It's a triage.
Night Court is more similar to Deep Space Nine though, because there was that episode where Harry Anderson's character, his dad is there, and there's like some guy named Herb who died and was cremated,
Herb.
and he's in an urn.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then his dad,
Herb and an urn.
he like used the
I know what you're
urn
talking about.
ashes to make some tea.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
Harry Anderson's all like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just having some herb tea." And then Harry Anderson's all like, "That's not herb tea, that's Herb."
Herb
Right,
tea.
yeah.
Just remember the same thing happened to Captain Sisko.
Oh, I didn't remember that he had
Yeah.
Herb as well.
It's that Wrongs Darker Than Death or Night episode.
It's
I think
not
it was.
gonna
Did he
make-
drink somebody?
Yeah, he totally.
It's not gonna make tea.
No, they lifted the exact dialogue.
For some reason, I thought they said herb tea. I know it's not pronounced herb tea.
They
Obviously, but
might have said herb.
If you
tea.
put ashes into water, it's just.
It was
It's
John
it's
Aston,
gonna-
by the
it
way.
doesn't
John
make
Aston.
tea.
You said ashes, and that made me think of John Aston, who played Harry Anderson's father.
Remember when
John
Richard
Ashes.
Mall got a carrot in the ear in the show, and he broke the carrot off and it like broke off in his ear because somehow he got a carrot.
Do you remember
in his
how
head?
John Larroquette played that Klingon who survived in Star Trek 3,
Yeah. Well, this is like Night Court.
taken prisoner?
This is fucked up. I didn't realize there was such a close connection.
There's a lot of close connections. But anyway, my whole point in all of that is that Brent Spiner is he's a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
And you see anybody playing one character for a long time, it's like, okay, they're playing that one character. He was able to play Lore and Noonien Soong and all these other characters, and they're convincing both it works that they're family members in some sense, because you can tell they're related, but I like the different flair he gives different people. Because Alton Soong, the the one from the last season of Picard was a little bit more daddy issue style. Like, oh, I got daddy issues. I got, that was his vibe. Whereas this guy is a little bit more desperate, right on the knife edge genius, and you can't tell exactly. Like he could go either way real easily, depending on where the universe pushes him. Which is, I guess, kind of the point of this.
I'm still stuck on. I'm going to point out the next time you pronounce a word wrong. I'm going to point that out in the podcast.
All right, go ahead.
Next time it happens, I'll do it.
Did it? No, you can point it out right now.
No, you didn't now. I'm still stuck on thinking about like it's because I said less.
You're not talking about that. Don't worry about it. We're all helping each other out here.
You point out the. I know how to say words.
Of course, you know how.
Sometimes I talk fast.
I know.
I think fast. I talk fast. And when I look at you, I throw up.
Oh
no! Because if I'm abrupt with you, it's because time is a factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the fucking car.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a quote from Pulp Fiction.
So so Dr. Soong could go either way depending on where he's pushed. Do you think Dr. Soong could be an evil dude? He's always kind of a dick. He
has been effectively an evil dude,
shady.
But he's never been super evil.
Yeah.
Right? He might be involved in some super evil shit, but
he's got his own kind of rules. He plays by his own rules.
And sort of not bumbling isn't the right word, but semi kind of in that direction a little bit.
He's a crackpot.
He's so focused on whatever his business is that it can lead him to do some silly other nonsense.
Carnally, Eric the half a bee. You said bumbling too.
A fiddly-dee, a fiddly-doo.
You said bumbling, and then I sang the bumblebee because you said C, and I said okay.
Eric the half a bee.
Yeah.
Write in if you like Monty Python.
Q had a pretty awesome card.
The whole card thing was cute.
It was a cute card
and clever.
It was a cute card.
The idea of printing out the card in a 3D printer was fun.
It looked like it was metal. It looked like it'll fuck you up.
It did look metal.
That's just going to cut you, man.
I don't know that it was metal, but whatever it was, it looked cool. The Q looked cool.
It looked sharp.
The phone number is a working phone number.
Oh,
did anybody else call it? I called it.
I didn't call it. I have it written down.
All right, you want to read the phone number out to the audience so they can call it?
Okay, pick up your bat phones now and dial 323-634-5667.
What is that area code 323?
That's maybe California.
Maybe
Los Angeles, maybe.
Los Angeles.
Could be Los Angeles.
So what does that phone number do?
I heard that like every phone in LA connects with an asshole or something. There's an asshole at the other end of every whatever.
Couldn't we just like call the number? We could just like call the number.
So you said you did call the number.
I did call the number, but you were asking what it does. In fact, it's the last number in my dialed list here.
So you can get it pretty quickly if you need to.
So I can just click this button here and hold on. Let me put it on speaker.
Wow, this is breaking ground here.
Hello, you have reached the Q Continuum. We are unable to get to the phone right now because we are busy living in a plane of existence your feeble mortal minds cannot possibly comprehend. Furthermore, it's pointless to leave a message because we, of course, already knew that you would call, and we simply do not care. Have a nice day.
That's it.
That's pretty hilarious.
Is that a Q impersonator?
Wow,
that's John Delancey for sure.
I totally didn't expect like it to be anything. I thought it was just going to be a fake number.
I wouldn't even be surprised if John Delancey came up with that idea.
It's like I'll just pay for a phone line to do that.
It's old school.
Yeah, it's like a They Might Be Giant style thing or something.
Definitely,
That's pretty funny. I was too afraid to call it. I was like, what if I call it and someone answers and gets mad at me? But that would be so stupid because they wouldn't put that. They wouldn't put someone's fucking phone number.
That's a funny reaction.
I don't call phone numbers.
Well, once I got
I'm done with
in
that.
the 90s I had a beeper, and one time somebody called me with this number, and I called the number back, and it was just go-go music playing for like a minute. And that's all it was. Eric said he was working at the gas station.
Oh my God. I think you got one of those mental viruses. Digital mental virus. Like an analog digital, like anal digital virus.
It was
brain virus. They play tones and it messes up your mind forever. And it ruins your life.
Beans and
they weren't. It wasn't overnight scenario or whatever. Yeah, I think he did. I passed it to Eric, and he said he used to call it while he was at work, and then he did it so many times that they stopped. The number got shut off or something. But It's go-go music, which is very popular in DC.
Yes, in Washington,
It
D.C.
came from D.C.
Yeah.
on the east coast of the United States of America.
So
They use rototoms.
So-
Mid-Atlantic region.
So when Q says he gives more Q lines. He's like, "I'm the gentle flutter of a butterfly. I am death, destroyer of worlds."
Fluttering butterflies.
That did death
Not
destroy
in this house.
that death. Oh, he butterfly. Hey, more butterfly imagery, but I didn't even notice that. More butterfly imagery.
Yes, I was going to call that out on Butterfly Watch because
But-
all the episodes this season have had references to butterflies.
But when he says "death, destroyer of worlds," that's used.
Oppenheimer.
That's used in so many things.
Yes.
It was name of one of the episodes of that show Pam and Tommy on Hulu. About Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. It was name of one of the episodes.
Pam Lamb.
Pam
Ooh,
Lamb.
Black Betty.
Pam
Pam
Lamb.
Lamb. Ooh, Black Betty.
As Pam Lamb.
Pam Lamb.
On the other hand, I don't Pamela. Pamela, but I don't know if John Delancey pulled off the smart psychologist with the smart psychologist facial hair.
With a short hair that looked like a crazy person.
It sounded like Q doing a Freud.
Yes,
Yeah.
it sounded you shouldn't go on the space mission
He probably-
because it will explode.
Yeah, it's Werner
It'll
Herzog.
be your fault.
Werner Herzog, he wrote a documentary about it. But yeah, he was probably just doing that to he was probably clowning people. But it was interesting. They called
He
that
was definitely clown.
Renee doesn't have depression. She is a melancholy.
No, wait, what?
Well,
Is this
she
the-
has depression, and therefore she is a man.
Is this the start of a joke?
No, it's not. It's the start of a goddamn- You'll know when it's the start of a
You will know.
Yeah, you all know. What do you mean a melancholy?
That's what I think they referred to.
Oh, she has a melancholy.
I thought they called her a melancholy.
No, I don't think they call. I think she's maybe it was phrased in sort of like having a melancholy or in a. I just heard melancholy. I just heard that she just gets melancholy.
Oh, I think I think I heard it wrong because according to this closed captioning, it says that's not to say she doesn't have her struggles. Then there's a melancholy. I thought they said that she was.
And then there is a melancholy,
No,
as in
no,
yeah.
yes,
Okay,
I understand.
all
But
right.
my impression was they were calling her like she was a melancholy, and you shouldn't label people like that, man.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't think they did. So they were all good.
So I made a point that wasn't even there.
This
That's
is
good.
this is fine. It's all all of life is a negotiation, and we have to be willing to
Negotiation.
go through the process in order to get
It's
what
like
we
you
need to be
said,
in
nothing
the end.
at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
All right, we're about due for another break. When we get back from the break, we will talk more about this episode. But I guess that was self-evident just from the flow of the show. Even for new listeners, presumably that would be self-evident that we would continue talking after the next break. All right,
That's what happens after a break.
we'll be right back. Okay,
And
we're
we're
back.
back.
We're back. We're totally back. We have returned. We've returned. All right, next up.
You sound winded.
Next up. Me? Are you talking about me?
I
Yeah.
held my breath the
Oh,
whole
because
break.
we've been podcasting. We've been podcasting like crazy. It's nuts.
For the whole break, I just held my breath.
Podcasting our ace off.
Yeah.
Our ace.
Yeah.
Kick his ace.
Uh,
Kick his ace.
Okay. What
bad.
else? What
It's really
anything
bad.
else?
Kick his ace.
Anything else related to
Soong?
Renee Picard? Or it's these things are all tied into each other because
She's got curly hair.
I just want to pull back for a second and ask what you guys think about how things are being structured, right? The way they're being presented, the clues we've been given, not even the clues, the explicit understanding that we're going by based off of Picard's ascertainment of what's going on, is that Q is purposefully trying to get Renee Picard to get all depressed and weird.
Right.
So she quits the thing,
That's what
and
they
then
said.
her quitting the thing results in the
That's,
thing, right?
They said so much, basically.
Yes,
they said
I know.
as much.
I know. I guess I'm over explaining the
He
explicitness
said too much.
in an effort to convey that I think it's too explicit, which I
Yeah.
think means it's a red herring, which I don't think is particularly surprising. I think we've commented on this before that
Interesting.
just as we thought that in this first episode that there was the Borg whole Borg being violent
Borg
thing.
hole.
There's some
The
red
Borg-
herring there.
The Borg hole. I'm
The
gonna
whole
hit you-
Borg.
I'm going to hit you in the Borg hole.
The whole kit and caborgle.
Smorgasbord.
The whole kit and caborgle. Kit and caborgle.
Yeah, so
You know what I'm saying?
I did not. Yeah,
I
dinner-
think Q is not feeling well, and I think we're not clear on something important yet.
So that's interesting about the red herring. I hadn't thought about that. That makes sense. Q not feeling well. It's hard to tell at this point because the plot has moved towards Q's sickness is what's driving the plot basically forward at this point. Is his sickness. Now, is that going to amount in anything relevant, or is it just going to be like or was it just a method to move the story along?
Whatever the issues that Q is facing, it does appear to be making time more of a factor. No pun intended.
Oh shit!
No joke intended. But what we don't understand is we don't know whether he's trying to do something nefarious. Probably not, right? Because it's a red herring, or if it's because he feels that he has less time in which to be able to impact the situation. And that's why he's in a rush. And that's why the things he's doing maybe are
he's all gray and stuff.
Well, he did that, at least you could argue, well, he did that on purpose to begin with when this all started, but ever since then things have been sort of going downhill. He can't do his powers as much. He can still hack into computers.
Yeah, he can with his Q mind. I wonder if he has to use his fingers to do it.
He can still estimate things. He can estimate 17 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Q was saying a line about,
I think I could do that. We're
all hostages to what we love. The only way to truly be free is to love nothing, but how meaningless would that be?
Do you think he loves Picard?
Well, that's not what I was getting at. I'm not saying no, but that's
Dan's
an interesting place to take it.
In 30 seconds.
It's all in your hands, Jesse. Just remember that. Just remember that. Soong could have waited. If Soong should have looked at his watch and been like, "Oh, if I'm going to wait 5 extra seconds, I sat down in 23 seconds." He could have done that. There was nothing stopping him but himself. But
he seems like he'd be the kind of guy that would do that.
He was so distracted by his.
But Q knew he wouldn't be. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it happened. If it hadn't happened, he wouldn't have been able to say it because that's how things work. So that's interesting. Maybe Q loves Picard. I don't think that's the direction they're going to take it. But wouldn't you like to see a show for once that just says that people suck and loving is not the answer? Like every show,
I think there's lots of shows that say that.
Most every show,
Seinfeld.
And look. This is not a complaint I have.
Law and Order Special Victims.
This is not a complaint I have about a specific show or anything, and it's not down points for anything because it's a good message. Love people, but you can love people without having to need people, and every show in the world's always like, you need to have someone you love, and what if you don't? What if you don't need to have anyone to love?
What about Faulty Towers?
Yeah, but I think I would argue that in this case, Q, it's less
Q.
It's less the show asserting a particular thing and more Q stating, verbalizing his own philosophy that he's arrived at, which is a philosophical proposition that I don't think is limited to the concept of, say, for example, soulmates, romantic love or anything.
But even Q gets lonely?
I think the idea being that Q is suggesting that even for a being in his position, which is maybe not fully omnipotent, but pretty close,
he's got something going on.
Seeks the type of connection that you can only get.
I'm saying that that's a common theme among every show, that the overlying message, the overarching message is always something having to do with
But it's also a very Star Trek thing. I mean, it would suck. Star Trek would be problematic if. Well, I guess I can't. That's not a fair thing to say because I don't know exactly what you would be envisioning in terms of an alternative.
Just to say,
just a nihilistic episode of Star Trek.
No. You want people to succeed. You love that people exist. You love that it's all there.
I get what you're saying.
But it's okay not to love someone in particular.
I know. Okay.
I'm coming off as really desperate and weird right now.
No. Now I'm actually I'm driving into your vibe, as the kids would say. Did they say that?
Do the kids say that? They started saying that like next week or something.
Maybe they were just making fun of me.
Maybe they were.
I think they say amazeballs.
So if it's a red herring, does that mean Soong is good? Do you think Soong is going to be more the focal point of this? Is Soong even going to remember Picard? Is Soong remember Picard in the future, or
I'm guessing all this,
or is this gonna end, or is this whole show gonna end up?
Is it the records of this century are
are goofy
sketchy.
and
right.
wild.
So
due to World War III, that's happening a few decades down the line.
So-
World War III.
So is this show?
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
So is this show gonna end up that they fix the timeline and don't remember anything, or if they don't, does that mean that Soong is gonna remember Picard from? Like when we can go back and
It's
watch
not the same
we can
Soong,
watch
baby.
TNG. We can say like Soong knows who he is already.
But that's not the same guy.
But it's his ancestor, and he would have passed that knowledge along.
You just pass it on genetically.
No, just he would have told him through storytelling,
Through lore.
through lore. Yeah, specifically lore, not data. I'm just saying. Anyways, but so do you think Soong is moving is going to be the one though instead of the Renee Picard red herring they threw out? You think they're going to focus on Soong?
I
fucking
think
shut up?
what
Well,
they've
they got a
done.
statue.
I think what they've done is they've set up a plot line that offers a number of different plausible and satisfying.
Satisfying. Satisfying.
I think I was going down the road of satisfactory and shifted gears
gotta
part
be
of the way
careful.
through
You gotta be careful.
into satisfying. So I said satisfying storyline possibilities. Probably that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but what I mean is that the way the pieces are arranged on the board right now with Adam Soong, with the Borg Queen and Jurati, which I guess we can talk a bit more about in a second.
Yes.
With Picard and Talon, with Q, of course, involved in there. There's a lot of different combinations. And a lot of things are happening at once, and a lot of different things are interacting. It's not like just Picard and his crew interacting with the present day people. There's Q and Talon, and then Adam Soong is a present day person, but he's up to some weird, crazy future shit. So they could go a lot of different directions, and I'm curious which one they go in. I don't think it's going to be as simple as Picard sort of solves the problem, stops whatever happens. and
Yeah,
there's like-
I would hope not.
I think it could be more a City on the Edge of Forever type thing where somebody has to die. Probably not, because you've already got City on the Edge of Forever. So the twist being that somebody has to die that you didn't think had to die. I think another twist idea that I've heard floating around out there is that the Picard future, the TNG, etc., the Star Trek future we're used to is in fact the altered timeline, and that the big
one of
gag
those
is
guys.
that you get the Confederation if you don't have the change happen back in time, but we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's helping out Renee Picard. Maybe it's helping out or stopping Adam Soong. Maybe it's helping both of them.
How did you know that the Gary 7 was going to be a part of this? Did we talk about this last week? Was there a hint at that or something?
Because of the mention of a supervisor, the term supervisor.
I mean, Watcher.
No, because
last week, because
I know, because when we first heard about the Watcher, right? We heard the term the Watcher, and then there's the episode The Watcher, in which we meet Talon for the first time, and Guinan says they call themselves supervisors or whatever. That's who she's like. You don't want a Watcher, you want a supervisor.
Okay,
that's what they call themselves. And they mentioned that, and then the other thing was when
that was an episode we watched.
When Talon,
yeah, I watched it this week.
Yeah, when Talon, you're talking about Assignment Earth, right?
Yeah.
And Dan caught up on it because when we podcasted about Assignment Earth,
he
Dan
wasn't on that one.
Dan was out of town on a
Wearing
mission.
my Picard ninja outfit.
He was doing that, going with Beverly Crusher and Worf,
Beverly.
dressed up with those tight hoodies.
Data.
Those really tight hoodies. And I'd really like to get one of
He
those.
got one of them blaster
Yeah.
phaser rifles.
Okay,
but her portal at the end was very similar to the Assignment Earth, purpley,
well, it seemed to be right.
smoky,
It
square
seemed to be right on because fucking
Oh,
shit. That was
Gary 7 had
fucking
that
shit,
funny
man.
gadget
fucking-
stick,
Yeah, he did have a gadget stick.
like a funny screwdriver that did all sorts of stuff.
Gary 7. But he wasn't there to protect a person. He was there to protect like people from a bomb.
The United States, basically.
Yeah.
He was meant to protect the Earth from nuclear
The
war.
world's only superpower.
Yeah, and they even explain that in this episode where it's about some of us protect the whole planets, others are supposed to protect a single person. Talon mentioned that, which I thought was smart for the writers to clarify that they're not all stopping nuclear war or whatever.
Right. Do you think Watchers / supervisors are allowed to fall in love?
No, it's like the Jedi.
Do you mean just in general, or with the person they are watching?
If Talon, if she is an ancestor of Laris, that
Nobody
means
said that.
But it seems, well, I mean, like, I just have a hard time believing they have no relation to each other and they look exactly alike. That just seems
Well,
they gotta have
one
some
of them's
relation.
human, man.
so she's going to be attracted to Picard just like Laris
I wonder if she's a
was.
cat,
Oh, that was weird too.
like Isis.
Yeah, that
Isis
was weird.
the cat.
That was weird. Isis the cat. Just appeared in that
Orla
one
Brady
scene.
tweeted something along the lines of, she tweeted a picture of herself from the show. She's the actress who plays Laris and Talon, and tweeted a picture of herself with the caption, something along the lines of, that face when you don't know whether or not you used to be a cat or not.
Right. Yeah, that was a pretty funny scene in Star Trek. I remember that scene.
You mean in the Assignment Earth?
Yeah. With the kitty cat.
I like that you call Star Trek, you call TOS just Star Trek because you're like old school about it. You're like,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
That's what it is. Take a look up the copyrights.
I mean, it's just. I mean, I'm not even trying to make a point of it.
Star
it's just,
Trek.
It's just my reflexive
In italics.
My reflex.
Are you like 42 years old?
I am something similar to numbers that you might have not spoken or spoken of a second ago or longer.
All right, let's get to Jurati and the Borg Queen. Jurati in general, of course.
Jurati.
So the Borg Queen basically prank calling the police or swatting, I guess would,
Yeah.
whatever the term is. That's the term, right? When like you call the police to
French.
somebody's house.
Yeah.
It was both funny and it led to yet another horrifying scene where the cop, and you know exactly what's going to happen. We've seen the Borg Queen, so the jump scare is just him getting jump scared.
Yeah, it was.
But the flashlight, when he shines the flashlight, it's so creepy and horrifying.
Yeah. And
Like she was a spider.
it was more that body, almost like body horror, I guess you could say, kind of deal.
I
where
think
it
you can
turns
straight
into
up
a
say body
fucking-
horror. She's
Yeah.
chained up there and has no fucking bottom half, and her spine is dangling out.
Yeah, and then she's
and
like,
she looks like a fucking monster.
and she's like
monstrous.
hanging like she's crucified or something. Did you notice the cop Leclerc, I think his name was? He did the flashlight gun trick where they do it, and they did it in X-Files and all those show where they hold the flashlight with one hand and they put the pistol over the other.
Did you notice that
I
Picard?
wonder if they actually do that, or if it's not, if it
think
actually doesn't work. Or
the
something.
flashlight that Picard or one of them was using last week had 4 lights. It was one of those flashlights that was like 4 little flashlights in one.
4
lights.
Oh, fuck.
4 lights.
Oh, you said it.
Star Trek.
You said it, so I didn't have to.
You've been TNG'd.
The BQ was all getting on his case about being a
For
nicotine.
new listeners, BQ is Dan's abbreviation for the Borg Queen.
Yeah. So BQ was looking at that. Was it an e-cigarette or a regular cigarette? You think that
That was a regular cigarette. He's a French
He is
French
from
gentleman.
France, dude.
So she said,
French gentleman.
She said,
in the countryside.
You don't see smoking much on Star Trek.
No, you don't. And you don't see it much of anything anymore. They have to put a warning now
Yeah.
because of it. So when she looked at him, she was like, nicotine addiction? I can help you with that. I didn't know what she meant by that. Was she saying, I'm going to kill you instead? Or something?
Well, I think it's meant to be. The humor
that
derives
doesn't
from.
help.
She could be meaning assimilating him. It could be meaning killing him. It could be meaning maybe actually just poking his brain a little bit.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with... Okay.
Maybe she's got some awesome smokes.
Well, see, my take on... What, she's going to give him some smokes that are so good they kill him? My take on it was some kind of diss on smoking, saying like, oh, you're killing yourself. I'm going to make that faster for you. But there's nothing that says nicotine kills you. It's the cigarettes that kill you. And she said nicotine.
Right.
It's the
So
cigarettes
I don't
that
get
kill
the joke. I don't get the joke. Her nicotine's going to kill you. I'll speed that up for you.
you. We've seen
Oh, no,
previously
she said-
this season the Borg Queen.
She says- she says-
she's
she's
got
a
a
little
sass mouth.
and
She's
she's a
just got
little
sass
and she's a
mouth.
little awkward.
But what? Yeah,
Like
she
that, what
is.
was that? Like that poetry she had
It's like
last week.
that wasn't a
An anagram.
Anagram.
Yeah, some sort of anagram that wasn't an anagram.
And so she's
right.
she's saying like nicotine addiction. I'll help you with that.
It
And
was
it
all
just it
indie
didn't
rock or
it didn't make any sense.
she got cut off from the rest of the collective when they were genocided, so she's a little socially awkward.
Yes,
Is,
one thing.
But she's trying.
if there's
she's
one
putting
thing,
herself out
if there's
there.
one thing Borg aren't is socially awkward because they're friends with all of each other.
Are there multiple queens? Like for each cube has a queen. Is that the deal?
My brain always starts to hurt a little
Or is there
bit
just one queen?
because I think it is that there definitely can be like multiple queens, but I forget exactly the ins and outs and how it works. And And if there's like queens for different zones.
But this
or
was like
whatever.
this particular queen was like the last
in that timeline.
Borg
In that timeline, yeah, or at least close to it, if not really the last. You know, it depends how much you believe the propaganda of the Confederation.
That was fucked up when BK told Jurati that there's like an infinite number of realities and she's always alone.
You said BK.
I said BQ.
He might have said BK.
I said
that time.
BQ.
BQ. All right. Well, write us in at feedback at itsgotStarTrek.com and let us
Dan
know.
say BK?
Did Dan say BK or BQ?
I don't know.
BK being an abbreviation
But he
for
thought
Burger King, a popular hamburger joint,
But Jesse thought it was worth
both in the United States and internationally.
He thought it was worth interrupting me for just to point that out, though. He couldn't have waited 5 seconds.
Well, I knew we would do something similar to what we just did. So
Well, how about this? How about this?
You make a solid point.
How about this? What do you think about this idea?
You make a solid point, Jesse, and I rescind any negative words I might have spoken.
What do you think about the idea? And I think is getting more and more plausible that Jurati ends up being that future Borg Queen, that strange alternate Borg Queen that we see in episode 1 of Picard. The Borg Queen that's got like a crazy costume on so you can't, and a cape. And the Borg Queen who calls Picard Picard and not Locutus.
Right.
And the Borg Queen who shoots to stun, not to kill. And says, look up, which I think Picard recounted to Jurati, that Jurati said that his mom used to say, you know, look up to the stars kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And you see Jurati here, she's had this attraction to the Borg/Borg Queen.
Well, I was saying last week that, like, Jurati's challenge is going to be doing fucked up shit. She's going to try to resist doing fucked up shit, like, because she already has that on her conscience from first season. She, in fact, overreacted. She probably didn't need to shoot the Borg Queen like she did, but she was probably overreacting because
she picked up like a 100-year-old firearm from like a display over a fireplace.
And it worked.
She shot the Borg Queen in the neck.
And that's never a good idea.
Do you think that was a little overreacting on her part, though, because she felt guilty about killing like her mentor Maddox, you know, and so she. I don't know, but
I don't think so.
But anyways, I was saying last week that her and the Borg Queen were gonna have some kind of thing going on, and I think that I was mostly laughed down from that statement.
No, I don't think so.
I think
my
it's
memory is quite plausible. I think my argument was, and I maintain my argument,
that
is that the way they're going to play it is that the Borg Queen somehow gets a hold of Jurati. And we think, oh no, Jurati's going to have to make some decision. But in the end, it turns out like Jurati's the strong one. And she's always been like, you know, sort of in control. Because she's already demonstrated she can like hack into the Borg Queen. She can steal files from the Borg Queen.
You know what?
I think she likes the assimilation.
I think that might have been your kind of like your response to me last week was kind of like they're going to run you along, make you think.
I think yeah, and it's not that there won't be stress on Jurati in a sincere sense.
And then he said, "Ha ha ha."
It's that it will be. She's going to be the one in control. It's going to be kind of surprise the Borg Queen because we've already seen that the Borg Queen's been impressed by her, and the Borg Queen obviously is interested.
The Borg Queen.
And in this episode, I think you start getting the impression that there's a sincerity to the Borg Queen when she's saying, "Hey, we could be so much more together."
Yeah,
I think that's part manipulation, but I was reading it as part like I honestly think that might be rad that we could like hook our minds and intermingle them, and that might be some awesome shit. Right? So I don't know.
I mean, I
there's
think
a lot of potential.
Maybe
there.
I'm just a sucker. Maybe I'm a naive sucker, and I'm just falling for the Borg Queen's tricks.
I don't know, man.
When BQ was put into that cryo chamber or torture chamber or whatever, when Agnes in the second episode, or was that the second episode, right, where Agnes was studying her when she was supposedly in we're the one with Patton Oswalt in it. Mm-hmm. So that was probably pretty traumatizing. So like you said a minute ago, that Borg Queen,
she was under sedation.
was having some struggles.
They drugged the BQ up.
Yeah, so she's having some mental like struggles, I think, and so that could be why she needs Jurati because, like you said, she's kind of socially awkward. It's pretty socially awkward to take over someone's mind because you're lonely. You know,
what's the main hamburger they sell at Borger Queen?
The Borg
the assimilator. I don't know.
The Futilla burger.
I don't know.
The Whopper.
Whopper.
The Whopper. simulator Whopper. Assimilate a Whopper fry.
Can you get like Locutus fries?
I don't want Locutus fries.
You can get instead of onion rings, they've got resistance rings.
Yeah.
Which are like calamari. It's just raw calamari.
Raw.
Like, you know, when you bite into them, they resist your tooth.
They say, "Stop eating me."
They're probably better than freedom fries.
But yeah, so anyway, that's an idea. That's
I think that's not a bad idea.
That alternate Borg Queen is going to turn out to be Jurati, and in some convoluted ways, who knows? It's just again, there's a lot of different directions they could go, because that could be a red herring too, and it could be that because other people before thought maybe 7 of 9 would have to somehow connect with the Borg Queen, and that would represent some sort of issue, drama for the character. But they've already kind of dipped into that well multiple times before, including last season when 7 of 9 had to briefly become the local Borg Queen in order to control the Borg ship.
So there are local Borg Queens.
Well, at least in that case, she was the noding. Somebody out there will be able to correct us on the very specific structure and architecture of the Borg Queen network and how that works. I just can't remember all the ins and outs.
Somebody
of it.
has a memory alpha.
Yeah, especially on a Voyager, there was a lot of floofs and floffs that they went through on Voyager.
She had like some tentacles that looked like flesh tentacles, but they were Borg tentacles.
They looked like wormy.
Yeah, they were
maggoty.
She had some
sort
worm
of tubers
shit coming out of her back.
Some tubers.
And when she stuck her assimilators in Jurati's neck,
I am the assimilator.
There was a weird effect going on Jurati's face. It was green, but then the green went off. But
she
then
got all Borgified.
Yeah, the green was flashing off her face. Like it felt like she was getting Borgified, and it was a shadow of green Borg at the same time. I don't know what effect was going on there.
Sitting there with her arm around her.
Her Borgness. Her Borgness.
Well, okay, let's wrap with the one. We can start wrapping things up, but we do have to talk about the fact that what we're getting. We got the beginning of it here, but we appear to be getting next episode a heist episode.
Well, yeah, I was just about
a la Brooklyn 999.
Well,
999.
The last
Brooklyn
999. Well, the last 10 minutes was like a heist. 10 minutes,
but they didn't do the heist yet. Is the thing
they didn't do? You're right. They didn't do the heist.
It was the setup to the heist.
The setup. They even had the music. They had heist music.
And so there was all kinds of like weird shimmery sounds, especially with Dr. Soong and Q. There were these weird like shimmery noises and like bings. Bing.
Well, at the beginning when Laris and Picard enter, or Talon and Picard entered the apartment. The closed captioning said trilling noise, and I was thinking, trilling noise? What does a trill make noise like? What does a trill do making noise? Yeah, it was going in and out of her stomach. But, they had so Jurati wore the red dress. There's always someone wearing a red something to grab the attention of people in heist movies, right? Isn't that kind of how it is? And they have to get by the secretness. Like here was some kind of, everyone apparently has a hash code that represents their entire life.
Yeah.
How long would that number have to be your code for your
17 characters.
It could just be codes that access pre-existing databases.
Pre-existing databases?
Oh, so those are pre-existing databases.
So that's usually what it is. So it's like a series of characters. Well, in like computers, hash codes are supposed to be unique identifiers for a file. So if you have a file,
as opposed to hash browns,
which
are you trying to use science on me?
Hash browns are for potato-based computation.
Yeah, right. But hash browns, they may seem like they're the same, but they're not. Much like hash codes, they're all different. So if you had a text file with the letter T, that would produce a different hash code than a text file with the letter S, for example. Anyways, so that's what the equivalent of
ancient
human
coding.
life.
Ancient coding.
So that would be what we have now. Is we have hash codes, the equivalent of hash codes that represent our entire life. So ancient radio, ancient gapping. You want to get involved in some ancient gapping?
This is not going to turn into a thing.
Introduction to antique coding.
This is not going to turn this gapping phrase.
Gapping.
I was going to go gapping.
It's not going to happen. Fight against it.
So
I'm an anti-gapper.
Gapping in your teeth.
So there was something about so she meant to get caught. So she was talking. They were like, she's talking to herself. We got a party crasher. Why did they think that she was crashing the party? Because of talking to herself. talking to herself.
And also her facial
drew
recognition.
attention to herself.
She was drawing a negative on the facial recognition. Because remember, they said that was part of the gag was not only do you need the RFID and invitation chip to get in, but once you're in, they have facial recognition, and if you don't match, they're gonna whatever.
She was the one that was just going in there.
So that's what drew the attention to her
commando stuff.
Yeah, is that her facial
But she
recognition.
was trying to draw attention to herself.
Exactly.
But what did she mean to do it by talking to herself? Because she was talking to them, and they thought she was talking to herself.
I think it doesn't matter. It's all part and parcel, the whole deal, the whole genie gig.
So it seemed like she was trying to be smooth by like, if she's trying to catch attention to herself, she'll be like, oh, I'll talk to them over my secret microphone. I'll talk to Picard over the secret microphone, and they'll see me, and they'll think that like I'm talking to someone over a secret microphone, so that'll make them sketchy of me, and then they'll do the facial recognition and see I'm not there. But then she pulled a move where she grabbed like the fucking champagne bottle and was extra obvious. So her first move of talking to herself was subtle, but grabbing the champagne bottle was like really obvious.
Yes, which is perfectly reasonable to employ multiple tools.
I liked it when she had like her like
when all of them can
her ID card, and she was holding it up and she was like smiling like next to it.
Yeah, I did. I liked how she was. Yeah, there's some. Alison Pill has some good. I'm all about the good facial expressions.
There was a moment where she had a similar facial expression and shot angle. I wonder if Jonathan Frakes did this on purpose. It was similar to a shot angle used with the character of Lorraine. Played by Leah Thompson in Back to the Future, where the camera is slightly at a higher angle, looking downward, and the lights center on the face, on Lorraine's face, and she's looking up with a certain smile. They did that with Alison Pill at one point. Very similar. I can't remember if it was I think it was Back to the Future 1, I want to say. The first one.
I was saying about the champagne bottle, if being subtle on the first one and then not subtle, very conspicuous. Right? No, inconspicuous. I always get mixed up.
Conspicuous is conspicuous.
Is meaning you're
standing out in the crowd.
Yeah. So being subtle in one instance and then conspicuous in the other instance, it just doesn't seem like it's consistent with the character that Jurati was trying to play in that moment.
Okay, I think she was just trying to get their attention regardless, and it's fine. But arguing over these types of things is exactly what being a Star Trek fan is all about.
Yeah.
All right.
Odds and ends.
Odds and ends. Any odds and ends? There were a couple because we didn't really talk at all about the whole Rios rescue scenario. Which was cool. There just wasn't a whole lot going on there.
Do you think like some Republicans got pissed off?
Oh yeah, no. There's a bunch of people on the internet. It's almost not even worth talking about because it's the usual suspects.
I mean, it's just a guarantee that somebody's going to get pissed off at that scene, and that's why I thought it was so good.
They were already pissed off last week, and then they're pissed off this week.
I don't know.
But they totally just like free everybody on that bus. It's just like you're free to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was intentional or not, and if it is, would it be considered an Easter egg? Was when
I know exactly what you're going to say.
When Pedro
did
the double axe handle punch.
Yep,
he's like, that's a good move.
And not only did he do it, exactly. Rios pointed it out, and he did the same thing. The classic Star Trek, no power double punch.
Then not long after, it played that old, like the Star Trek theme music.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Gotta check that out again. That was pretty. That was the most notable thing in that scene. It was not a bad scene. It's just in terms of
it was a more overt use of the double axe handle punch than in Lower Decks when Ransom was going around Ransom was fighting all those dudes and just smashing them just all with the same move.
Yeah,
it was like more of a parody or something.
Yeah. Do you think that if you're going to drink shots at a gala function and you're going into space the next day, that's a bad idea? Because that's what Renee was doing.
She wasn't going into space the next day. She was going into quarantine the next day.
Yeah.
So she had a little bit of time.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That being said, that small semantic point being said, I thought the same thing. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah,
y'all get shit-faced like right before going into quarantine.
And if you're an astronaut, you're all in shape and shit, and like one drink, like you're done.
Yeah, I thought pilots weren't allowed to drink the day before.
I don't think that's a good
flights
idea.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think there was still like 2 days to the actual whatever, but
so the IO has the sentient alien life. It's on IO apparently.
I don't know if they said
sentient. It was the Europa mission.
Sentient. Yeah,
yes,
the Europa
mission.
It said sentient.
That's what Picard said.
Yeah, that's what Picard said. That's what
You get what Dan and I are saying here, Jesse? That's what Picard said.
that's what me and Patrick are saying. That's what
Dan and
Picard-
I are just relying on what Picard verbalized.
Yeah, so that's so that got me to thinking about you guys. That got me thinking about last week when Guinan was talking about how we have one tiny ball in the entire galaxies and all this species wants to do is fight. You got me thinking about that.
We only got one ball, but we're fighting mad.
The one tiny little ball.
And all we want to fight. Yeah. Like, why was
It was a very good line.
No,
Very
but
touching.
it was a touching line, but we have lots of balls. We have lots of green, juicy balls out, like, that are inhabited.
You got lots
in
of
this-
No,
balls.
but not at that point in time. Humans were stuck on Earth, and they hadn't gone to other places yet. And so that's what she's talking about. She's talking about these people, the humans.
But she's not talking about the sentient life on Io.
No,
We hadn't gotten
no.
to that
Guinan's
ball.
not talking about the concept of thinking beings.
I thought they
she's
went to
talking
Europa.
about she's
What is
talking
this
about
Io?
humans. She's complaining about humans being like she's like, why are these people
Yeah.
are clever and they're just fucking each other up.
Well, but now we have, like, tons of balls, though.
Yes, we
No, I'm
do.
not even making a joke that time.
I know. I clearly you're not clearly you're not making
Okay.
it because it's not funny.
You're not using your joke
Just because it's not
voice.
funny doesn't
It's not-
mean
yeah,
that doesn't mean it's not a joke. That's like saying just because I don't like the sound of that, it's not music, or just because that's ugly, it's not art.
I think you're using your joke voice now.
Okay, you're right. It could have been a joke poorly conveyed.
What? That's unnecessary. That was not necessary. The only reason I said that.
I was just saying it.
The only reason I said not a joke before is because I wanted you because when I said we have lots of balls, you're like, okay. And I was trying to say, like, no, I didn't mean it like that.
Didn't mean it like that.
Okay, well, we can move on.
Adam Soong's
Adam Sungler.
when he was taking Cora outside to go swimming and shit, he was wearing a clever little hat.
Why doesn't he have
Clever
an
little
indoor pool at his fancy mansion?
Yes, that's a separate but important point. He
Yeah.
could have had an indoor pool so that his daughter could go swimming.
Maybe there's too many organisms in water.
But his clever little hat.
His clever little hat.
Go back and look.
Curious George and his clever little
No,
hat.
because it had a series of it had a pattern on it, a series of horizontal lines, sort of
Yeah.
skewed from each other, going all the way up. That evoked.
He had one
It
of them
evoked.
Panama
It was
hats.
evocative of a feather in the cap.
Mm.
Now, what could this possibly mean?
He had a feather in his cap.
I don't know. I haven't a clue. I have no ideas and no theories. But I did think it was cool that his hat had a weird modern pattern that looked like a feather in the cap.
You think that meant something? You think they did that on purpose?
Everything's on purpose to some degree.
Yeah, they did that when the band played "Fly Me to the Moon." They totally did that on purpose.
Totally. It was completely Fly Me to the Moon.
Yeah.
And they didn't need the words or nothing.
No, but you knew what they were
Because
saying.
you just knew it from the tune.
They should have had what's his name from DS9.
Yeah.
Anthony Arbuckle or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony Arbuckle, the famous holographic character who worked at Vic Fontaine's bar.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. And Anthony Arbuckle worked for Vic Fontaine.
Right.
Pally.
They did
Pally.
they did a very obvious. They did that old gag where Tallinn was going like, tell me about the others. Can they be trusted? And of course Picard's like, no question. We've been through thick and thin. There's no better bunch of. And then the body comes by.
Yeah.
That
They're
old-
dragging a cop by.
He's not dead.
They did that
Dead
gag.
cop.
Yeah, they really laid that one on thick. I thought that was remarkable
Yeah.
because they laid that gag on.
It was
thick.
fun.
It was fun.
That was some Frakes fun.
And then there was some fun with him.
Johnny Frakes having a good time.
Him and the
being a director, directing his old pals and a couple of new pals.
And then there was the
Frakes Jakes.
and then the conversation with him, and was it Raffi or someone talking about how it was weird that
Yes, Raffi and Picard.
Tallinn and Laris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
That was good.
Did you notice that when Picard was talking to Talon, and she was getting the information about the whole quarantine launch and all this other business. He was all like, "All right, so we just got to keep her from quitting for 15 hours." That was like last episode. They were all about the 15s.
Oh,
and then this
yeah.
episode is another 15.
I didn't even notice
I
that.
didn't notice
I did
that.
not
No,
pick up on that.
Maybe just arbitrary.
And it's funny that he noticed it when Jurati was doing all that 15 shit,
Yeah.
but nobody called it out when he did the 15
Well, and because it
shit.
would have been in his brain as
Yeah.
opposed to, in her brain as opposed to his brain, right?
Right.
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 Yes.
So it doesn't mean
So
nothing.
do you-
I'm
but,
just calling
I mean,
it out.
if they
It doesn't
said-
mean nothing, but I'm calling
But
it out.
you know, I realized I wasn't thinking about the fact that they didn't bring up 15 this episode, and
Yeah.
that you think that was the reference? They didn't make a thing of
Well,
it.
they had already presumably. They didn't bring it up because in the last episode, the 15
is a date.
it served the purpose
Yeah,
that they.
I
which
guess
was,
you're right. I guess you're
work back
right.
from-
I guess they can move on from that. See, that's the thing is they just kind of move on from it. You know, it's
They
just
do.
kind of like, oh, 15, April 15th. They just kind of moved on. You know?
All right. Any other odds and ends,
Nah.
or does that conclude our business
I think it concludes.
for the day, for the week, until next week, when we'll be talking about Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 6, and I believe that one's called 2 of 1.
What
Can you guess? Can we take some guesses as to what that might be focusing on?
about the relationship between 7 of 9 and Raffi?
No, no, probably not.
Like 2 of 1, 7 of 9?
Yeah, I think in this case, we're supposed to think it's going to be about the Borg Queen and
Oh,
Jurati.
Jurati. Oh, I was close.
doing their
I was close.
man with two brains act.
Yeah.
Is what's going to be happening presumably next week, with all sorts of comedic and dramatic things associated with it.
I think that definitely it has to be the case of
Has
how
to
this heist will play out.
Has to be.
It has to go into how this heist plays out.
Has to be.
Has to be.
That's how it has to be.
All right, that those sounds indicate that we've run out of things to talk about this week. And,
My name is Dan Glaubitz, and I say good evening.
There are infinite realities, and you're alone in each one of them.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. But in the meantime, if you'd like to interact with us in the digital realms, you can find us on Twitter at It's Got Star Trek, Instagram at It's Got Star Trek. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for It's Got Star Trek. You'll find us on YouTube. If you enjoy listening to podcasts with no video content and just a static image, a very nicely put together static image, but static image nevertheless, if you enjoy
People like that.
consuming that, apparently some people do seem to enjoy that. So we put it up there on YouTube for you. What else is there? That's the main things, right?
Apple Podcast.
Apple, yeah.
I think it's just that
Podcasts,
people
Google
hang out on
Apple Podcast.
people just hang out on YouTube like it was a room in the house or something. So.
We could do a live. If you want us to do some live bullshit or something like that, write in, and if enough people write in, maybe we'll think about it.
Yeah, right.
we'll
do a
think about it.
video.
We have the capacity.
We should do some cooking.
We just
shows.
don't know if the motivation is there.
Yeah, we Jesse wants to do a cooking show.
Can we cook pon farr?
Yeah, we'll do like a 15-minute pon farr cooking show.
The three of us will do a 15-minute pon farr cooking demonstration.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting and messy.
We'll wear
and spicy.
We'll wear pointed ears and nothing else.
So yes, you can write in at feedback@itsgotstartrek.com if you'd like us to do something along those lines, or if you have any other recommendations. But yeah, come on, meet us up on Twitter or whatever. And yeah, we already mentioned Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Tell all your friends, tell your coworkers, tell the people.
Tell them.
In your, you go see your kid's little league game or soccer game,
Or your jujitsu
or
classes.
highlight game, or maybe cricket, maybe youth cricket, and you're hanging out on.
People play lacrosse a lot now.
Yeah, there's lacrosse, there's field
Pickleball.
hockey.
They play a pickleball.
Oh, that fucking pickleball shit.
It's a lot of older people.
Next
Isn't there
time,
a lot of old people playing
you're at
pickleball?
a swinger party or just a singles bar.
Yeah,
Swinger
tell them
party, yeah.
It's got Star Trek. Tell
Do
them
singles bars really exist? It just seems like a term for bars. That's just a bar. Singles bar? It's just a bar.
Yeah.
I think some bars just have reputations.
It's a,
Yeah, it's
for
yeah,
certain
but it's
for certain
It's a
clientele.
sociological
So that's one
terminology.
subcategory.
But
of
it's
bar.
not like I'm going to the sushi bar. It's like I'm going to the singles bar. Well, the sushi bar could be a singles bar. if it
Seems
had
like
that
I'd rather
reputation.
go to the sushi bar.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I just want to eat my sushi in silence. Silent solitude.
You want to frown while you do it. Be like, it's so good.
It's so
such
good. Oh, this
sushi.
wasabi. Wasabi's really good. Long story short, tell all your friends about the It's Got Star Trek podcast. Tell them to download it. They don't got to listen to it. Just tell them to download
and
all
write
the
a review
episodes.
on Apple Podcasts or wherever else podcasts can be written.
Write a
reviews
review,
on.
subscribe, and all that other business. All right. So we'll talk to you more Star Trek
Because
Picard.
we need you to like us because we're really lonely.
Next week. Next week. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
If I could encapsulate all the knowledge I've gained through the years from life experience and careful study into a single pearl of wisdom for you, it would be this. People are idiots.